All right, welcome back, everybody. Today I want to talk about 150 yards in, which is your scoring distances. It's a really important piece of the game, and you should actually approach it a bit differently in terms of how you practice it, because you're not going to just do it on the course. You need to practice and have a system for it. So right off the bat, one of the biggest distinctions is, like, the way I like to think about just my game in general is, like, off the tee, my long game, there's two variables that are most important to factor in. You've got your, like, starting line and where you're missing it, left or right, and then you've got distance control. So, like, off the tee, long shots, controlling your line and controlling where your miss is probably the most important thing. It's honestly just math. If you hit a drive 300 yards, but it's offline, it's because it's such a long shot, it's going to be really offline if it's offline compared to, like, hitting a wedge. So, like, off the tee, long shots, controlling and hitting your spots is the most important. Like, if I hit a drive, heel it or whatever, and it's short, but it's in the fairway, I don't care. That's a good miss. When you get to 150 yards in, you flip that around completely. The most important thing out of those two elements is your distance control. Like, if you're hitting it pin high, you're going to be in a good spot, because even if you miss left or right, you're probably still on the green with a putt pin high. Most of the trouble around greens as well is front and back. You'll notice it when you go, and green slope front to back. So if you're missing long, downhill, bunkers, most courses, the trouble is not pin high, middle of the green. It's front and back. So distance control is everything. You'll get closer to the pin. So how I want you to go ahead and think about this is, first thing is, if you don't have a rangefinder, it's really important to get one. It'll speed up play. It'll help you with everything. But you want to be able to zap off distances on the driving range. So if you start at 150, and so, like, these flags right here, we've got like 112, 167, I believe, and like 210 to the back. But so figure out the 150 piece first. And I want you, instead of like for me, like, I hit a 9-iron, like 165 is my max of where I want to push it to. But you want to think differently in terms of just how far you hit your club. Like, once you're 150 and in, I want you to think about like a grid. So like 150, 140, 130, 120. I want you to practice hitting shots to those distances, because that's going to really help you in terms of picking clubs and scoring better and controlling distances. Like, I have like a 15-yard gap between most of my clubs. So if I come out to a distance of like 155, I can hit two different clubs to that anyways. So, like, start a grid of 150, 140 and learn how to hit those shots. So if we start with the 150 right off the bat, that gives me two clubs that I can hit that distance. It's a pushing it for a wedge. I don't like to hit a wedge 150, but I can. And a 9-iron, that's really soft 9-iron for me. All right, so we're gonna hit off some pristine lies. But so here we have like the 150-yard shot example. So I can hammer a pitching wedge, and I can hit a really soft 9. And what's good about this drill and approaching it this way is, like, you'll see, like, a lot of times they're like, you know, people talk about controlling spin and trajectory, and you can do that. Like, you don't have to change your swing as much as, like, sometimes just taking a different club to hit that shot, if you practice it, gives you that. And what I mean is, like, this pitching wedge, when I get after it, I expect the ball to come out high, to come out with a lot of spin, and that's the shot I'm going to get. Whereas if I take the 9-iron, I'm hitting it really soft, I'm going to have a lower trajectory, less spin. And that's really handy, because next you get into, like, pin placement. Like, where do you want to miss? If I got a really front pin, and there's a lot of room behind the green, or behind the flag, I should say, like, I may choose to take the 9, because my whole intention is, like, I don't want that thing to hit with a lot of spin and then come back off the front of the green. Like, I want it to hop and maybe release just a little bit. Like, what's the safe play? Pins in the back, and it's a distance where it's like, I don't want to miss long. Maybe I decide to get after the wedge and just try to keep from missing it long. So I don't have to think too much. The club, practicing these distances really, really helps. So, like, if I just getting after the wedge, this is a horrible dirt lie, but that was clean at least. That's going to come out with a lot of spin. Like, that's going to sit wherever I hit it. Whereas if I take this 9-iron, little, like, sand divots, take a 9-iron trying to hit 150 yards, like, you'll see the difference in the swing right away. That was good. It's just lower. That ball's going to come in and hit, check, release just a little bit. So like I don't have to think about changing my swing as much as like I just know those shots. So like you do the same thing because maybe you hit a 7-iron 150. It's the same concept, but pick those yardages and start hitting shots. And if you have 2 clubs you can hit there, good. Like hit both of those and get comfortable with it. And like just doing that is going to help you actually figure out how to flight the ball with all of your even long clubs. Like you're going to learn an awful lot from it. It's a really good approach to trying to score better from 150 yards in. Like it's really going to help set you up to be where you want to be at with it. Try it. I bet you play better golf.